Hey, Facebook, Elizabeth Nader here. We are New Jersey Women for Trump. We're also on the New Jersey Republican page tonight. As you guys are jumping on, some of you on now are already on replay. Tell us where you're watching from. Leave questions, comments. We'll check them later. The rest of you guys are joining as Facebook serves us up. I want to welcome tonight David Winkler. We're excited to talk to him. He is running for governor in New Jersey. David, welcome to New Jersey Women for Trump.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, David, a lot of people know you. A lot of people don't. I know you just announced your candidacy. Before this, you were running for Senate, but I know you had a heart change, and we'll talk about why. And now you've decided to run for governor in New Jersey, of course, this year in 2021. So let's get everybody to know you. Tell them about your background, all the things that you've been through with the military and all of that, so they can understand who David Winkler is.
Okay, so the way to explain it to people, I'm not originally from New Jersey. I'm actually from Orange County, California. I grew up all over the globe, pretty much. I grew up in Canada. I also went to high school in Ireland. But predominantly, my whole young life, from 18 years to now, has been military. I knew immediately after 9/11 that I was going to serve. That I was not going to let an attack like that go down without some sort of response. And, you know, my brother at the time, he was a corpsman, and I wanted to try to meet up with him, which a corpsman is like a medic. And I wanted to be the Marine counterpart and serve in the same unit. Military found out, they separated us. Yeah. I ended up going to a place called 29 Palms. But I found myself at a very young age in Fallujah, Iraq, in the midst of the fighting in the beginning. And then shortly after coming back from that tough deployment, we were gearing up for Afghanistan. And so I was a part of the first infantry battalion to hit the ground in Afghanistan since 2003. I was in the 2008 surge of Afghanistan. So really, to be quite honest, I didn't expect myself to come out of that one, but I did. And I would later that next year, I would get out and I'd switch over to the Army. I ended up deploying again, but this time as an advisor role to the Afghanistan government. And then I would also, I would find my way to the East Coast as an Army recruiter and the color guard of the New York City color guard team, or the captain of it, where I would do all your major sports from the Jets to the Giants. I know we got a lot of fans out here, but I would do all the national anthems for all of our sports out here. And then I would find myself in Korea. So I ended up being an advisor for that, for South Korea as well. And then shortly after, I decided to leave active duty and find my way back here. So I chose to live in the New Jersey side. And what ended up happening is I switched over to the Guard and went part-time so I could finish out the rest of my career there with a specialized military police unit. That's over there in Brooklyn that is, you know, done an amazing job behind the scenes of protecting the city. The other piece of that background that some people know about, some people don't, is I was a huge advocate for veterans. And so behind this, I would help out with the invisible wounds aspect. So I'm talking about PTSD, traumatic brain injury. I would also try to help them find jobs, how to transition from the military. You name it, but I did that as a CEO of a national 501c3 for a few years. Just stepped down in 2019, 2020 timeframe so I could look at running for office here. But pretty much I devoted my life to serving others, and that's what I'm essentially doing here by stepping into this race is trying to show what veteran leadership can do for the state.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your service. I mean, that's amazing. You have an incredible number of years and the things that you faced. And so on behalf of all of us, I thank you so much for all that you've done for our country. And I know now you feel very inclined to do the same thing from a political standpoint. Let's, before we get to the race, and I know we have some breaking news tonight, actually. I'll share that with everybody now, and we're going to talk about what that means for you later. But we just got notice that Doug Steinhardt has dropped out of the governor's race. New Jersey Globe is reporting that. So that's breaking news. So we'll have to look into that. But we'll talk about that, what that means here in a minute, David. Let's talk about DC. I know you were there last week, and I know you've been an avid Trump supporter. Tell us what you were doing, though, in DC. It's a little interesting.
So here's the deal. I support the people. So I believe in what's called engaged leadership. So I want to be where the people are at.
Yeah.
All right. I can't gauge and see what's going on unless I'm out with the people. I definitely could not have gauged what happened in DC from sitting in New Jersey, like we've been seeing with Doug Steinhardt and Jack Citarelli over there that are running at the mouth, but don't know what really took place in DC. So when I went out there, I went out with a specialized group of advocates from across the United States that was there to give a declaration of authority to Congress.
Okay. And
that declaration of authority was to remind Congress of who they work for. We don't work for them. They work for us.
Right.
And so it was a bunch of advocates from around the United States that have seen the harmful effects of these shutdowns to their businesses, to you name it. And I know you've all seen me at different places with attacking Governor Murphy on his shutdowns. And that's why I went down there to help out with the Declaration of Authority.
Okay.
I was there at the Capitol building early in the morning. So I was there trying to get all the signatures correct, making sure that our document was good to go up to Congress. And I will tell you, something was wrong from the get-go, because I was there around 7:30 in the morning. Some of the people that from our New Jersey group was with me. Very cold,
Yes,
very miserable in that morning out there. And everybody else was near the Washington Monument.
Right.
So I was far away from them. But I saw the police increase, or the security increase from the get-go. And, we were kind of inquisitive, and we asked. And they made it known that people were going to get into the building. And I was like, laughing.
Wait,
I was like,
for a second. They made it known that they would allow people in?
The people that were standing around those police and all that stuff were saying, hey, we're going to get into the building. And this was around 8:30 in the morning, where I kind of laughed, because I'm like, there's no way that they would allow the populace into the building.
Right.
And so, obviously things that transpired later, I was like, wait a moment, this doesn't make sense. Because they told me in the morning, and I kind of laughed about it, but they were able to get into the building, and something is wrong. And I'm actually one of those that is not afraid to tell the truth. What we see in mainstream media is not the total story of what's going on.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, definitely. And you and I were trading stories and videos that we saw and things we saw with our own eyes, and something is not right. I think you have a unique view on it as a military man and law enforcement man, because when you really look at those videos, there's several things. We won't get into all of it tonight, but there's several things that don't make sense and missing pieces. And I think that frustrates a lot of us, because truth doesn't seem to matter. I don't think any of us who committed Trump fans and loyalists and believe in who he is and what he's done for us wanted to break into the Capitol building. That's not what we were there for. While you were up at the Capitol, I was down hearing him speak, and in no way did he incite anyone. So it's unfortunate the truth is not there, David. I think, considering everything that happened this summer in this country, that we're focusing on this now in the way that we are just speaks further to why we need to change our leaders. So you have decided now to also start a recall of Governor Murphy. And really, this is what a lot of people know you for right now. Before you announced, I know you were running for Senate, now you're running for governor, but you started this recall of Governor Murphy. I had a lot of questions about that today. People don't really understand the process. So let's back up. First of all, I think it's obvious why you did it, but people don't really know your full reasoning. So tell us why you're doing it, and then let's get into actually the process of it.
Well, here's one of the reasons why I'm doing the recall is that we have a lack of action from our state legislators. Whether it be Republican or Democrat, Governor Murphy's getting away with a lot of things that are hurting our families. Yeah. And out here in Hudson County, where I'm at, it's not a it's not a Republican area. It's a pure Democrat area, and even their businesses are hurting, and they're asking for some sort of relief, and nobody's listening to them, from the city councils to the mayors to you name it. And so when you look through the New Jersey state constitution, the recall process is the people's process, right? It doesn't talk about Republican process, because I've heard the naysayers from the Republican and the Democrat side. It's the people's process. Yeah. And that's what I'm about, is delivering what the people need and want. So that's why I initiated the recall, because he needs to know that his actions are not acceptable. Whether it be those mask mandates where he's ignoring people who have disabilities who can't walk into these places, and they can't go and shop. They can't even get their groceries because they can't wear the mask. So, things like the medical, things like the religious aspects. I got a lot of churches that were shut down. And they can't even open up. And so, Catholics to even the, Islam or the Islamic faith, to you name it, Jewish faith, they're all closed down. They want to pray. They want to be able to get through this. So there's a lot of pent up frustrations from the people that I'm hearing. That's the reason why I did the recall process.
Okay. So let's explain the process to the people, because I know we're right now you're gathering signatures, but that just happened starting last week, I believe. So can you explain how the process works?
Yeah. So it's been one pain in the butt process because the state can play games with you. And that's essentially what they did with this committee. So starting off is you have to create a committee. So usually there's 3 people that are on a committee, and they fill out these forms and they send it to the state. The state has to approve the committee and approve the reasoning for the recall, which is what ended up happening is they approved it. That starts a process of a 7-day, response time from Governor Murphy. The state play games. There's no way around it. The state played games, and they waited up until like the 8th day, and then they tried to play some procedural nonsense. But the truth is Governor Murphy did not feel like he owed a response to any of the New Jersey people. He did not give a response to the recall, and he waited until the 8th day to do so. And then that's when we were in the process of making sure that our petition was in accordance with the New Jersey state laws when it came to recall. And we gave it to the state and asked, hey, is this the correct petition and all that? They messed up when it came to, they came back with a stupid response about a date. Like, oh, you just need to fix this. But they waited till the 3rd day. Because there was 3 days that they had to be able to do it, 3 business days to look at it. But they waited till the literally last minute 3rd day said, oh, you need to add a date to this. And so it's not only Governor Murphy that's a problem, it's the lack of standards or high standards from our state workers as well, which is another reason why I'm running for governor is I hold people to standard. Right. And this kind of behavior needs to stop from our State Department. When the people ask for a recall, it's not upon you to like sit there and mess with this process.
So they were playing games with you a little bit. So you had to get through all of those hoops. And then finally, you were able to then have the petition go live. That was last week, right? Okay. How is that going? How many signatures do you need and what happens next?
So we need right now from the committee, and what they told me is we need about 1.7 million signatures, right? What's going on right now is what we're seeing with President Trump and everything else. Social media is a problem. We thought we were going to have a pretty smooth time when it came to social media, but we were not foreseeing what Twitter, Instagram, Apple, Google, all of them, what they're doing right now is not only affecting President Trump, but it's affecting our recall process by not allowing us to get the appropriate reach that we need to get to, which is another reason why this will end up in court as interference. And I'll be taking it.
It's been hard for you to get the link out there. I mean, you didn't predict this past week and everybody that's getting shut down and erased and taken off and all of that. So we need to post the link in the comments. And if anybody watching has that handy, what is the link, David? Is it easy to?
It's the one that I've used is www.recallgovernormurphy.com. So it's just govmurphy.com.
Okay.
Up on there, you'll see the timeline. We laid out the timeline to you guys. We laid out what exactly happened. What we haven't put out there yet is what the process will be if he does get recalled, which we will definitely keep you guys abreast of what will happen. But there's a lot of, as I said, there's a reason why I'm running for governor, because there's a lot of people, establishment types that don't want the recall to happen because they know that it's going to force a special election in April. And Governor Murphy could be gone in April. Now, I have a secondary alternate aspect of why I'm doing this is because of the law enforcement side of me. What I'm looking at is does his behavior reach criminal statutes or the threshold of criminality? Because I've heard the people in New Jersey talk about the nursing home deaths. I've heard them talk about the vets and all that. And I've also heard about the constitutional rights violations, which would technically could meet the threshold of criminality underneath a certain United States code, section 242. And so it makes it easier for me to approach a federal level prosecutor when somebody is recalled, rather than allowing him to get reelected or get in office and, he's still got all those immunities and everything else that he's got. I need him to get recalled, get kicked out, so we can look at prosecution. Because I've talked to federal prosecutors. Yeah. Right now, they're very hesitant to do anything because of the position that he's in right now. But they told me straight out, if he's recalled, they will take more of a look at criminality. So this
process is about you holding him to a higher standard from what you believe are the criminal acts that he committed and all of that during his tenure. I just read an article today, and of course it's slanted, but I'm shocked at the approval ratings he's getting. I don't believe them. And basically the article said he's just going to walk right into the next election. This is the most frustrating thing for those of us I call in Jersey jail, because that's what it feels like, right? Just one emergency order after the next and zero accountability, no one else having a say so. We're being led by a tyrant, and it's not ending anytime soon. I want you to talk about why you shifted from Senate, which you were running state Senate, and then you had kind of an epiphany, and you said, "That's it. I'm throwing my hat in." And you did it last week to run for governor. So I want you to talk about that moment you decided to shift, why, and what your plan is to beat him.
Well, here's the deal. With the reason for the shift is I'm tired of it. I'm just like the people are tired of it here. Of the amount of the lack of integrity, the lack of values, the lack of understanding what the Republicans or the people want here, right? Everybody is running from Trump, right? I'm not running from Trump. Trump did nothing illegal on the day of the 6th. Okay, all he did was give a speech. Actually, I believe in what's called personal accountability. And so those ones that did illegal actions on that day and all that, they should be personally held accountable.
Right.
But we need to stop blaming it on the president of the United States. Right. Everybody in America, those 70 plus million Americans that are crying out about election fraud, election integrity, some are even talking about campaign finance fraud and all that. You have a right to complain about it. You have a right to feel frustrated because I'm feeling the same thing. And I'm here in Hudson County where I've watched what really takes place here. And I'm like, I absolutely 100% agree with you, and you will not see me back down off of this. And people need to be held accountable for their actions.
Right. Agreed.
So that's one of the reasons why. The other reason why is because they attacked. So the day that everybody went on the 6th, I looked at people's Twitters, so like Doug Steinhardt and Jack Citarelli, and it was literally trying to, side with the Democrats and the rhino Republicans up there that don't have the spine to say, you know what? No, I stand with Trump on this.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see more and more sort of rats jumping the ship, right?
Yeah.
It's disappointing to see for all of us patriots. I want to make sure that people know where you stand on some of the more pressing issues. I know I get this question a lot about, let's start with medical freedom, because a lot of people on this page want to know if you stand with that, what your position is on anything mandated related to vaccines or other medical issues. Where do you stand on that particular point?
So I think some people know my position on this, but I'll throw this out here. Look, religious and medical exemptions will always be there, right? I don't ever believe in the government mandating any sort of a substance that goes into your body. Right. One of the biggest things I hated from the military all the time is those mandatory vaccines that they gave me all the time. And it doesn't matter what I said. I hated it because I don't know what they're putting in there.
That's right.
There's no way for you as the individual person to know what's in that batch that is being put in your arm. And if you have some sort of, feeling that you don't want it, you should be able to say right then and there, I don't want that vaccine. It's the same thing for the schools. I'm a huge advocate of parents and giving them their power back. And saying, no, I don't want my kid to have this in their system. Because I do realize, too, from a scientific standpoint, I know they're putting some fetus aspects to things that deal with abortion. And that should definitely be up to the parents when it comes to what goes inside there because of religious exemptions.
Right.
We have a problem with its war on Christianity, and that ends with me running for governor. And because I'm a Christian, and just like any other religion underneath, the First Amendment aspect, we will protect it.
Okay. Let's talk about COVID. Let's talk about how you would have handled that. We're in a situation where, I mean, a lot of people on this page maybe not be scared. Some are scared. Everyone has a different approach to it. But I think overall, people feel like he has his foot on the throat of this state, on the small businesses, taking away our children's experiences. What would you do differently to handle and get us to wherever that finish line is? God knows where it is because it keeps moving, but allow us to get back to what life was and what life should be before COVID became the thing. What would a David Winkler administration do differently?
So here's what I'd say is the solution can't be worse than the virus itself, right? Or the issue itself, and regardless of what it is. But in this case, it's a virus, right?
Right.
Our businesses need to open up at 100% strength. If and buts, our economy will open if I get in as governor. Our economy will open, and it will be very similar to what we saw with DeSantis and all that in Florida. I'm a huge advocate of, I'm not about these whole mask mandates and everything else that's going on here, because as I said, I respect the people's rights of saying, no, this is my body in all that aspect, right? But I will sit down with the scientists, like the Democrats keep saying we don't listen to, but I will be sitting down with them and figuring out ways where our economy stays open, all right? People can get around, schools open up, because this is my problem. I got kids, right? And as a father, I take it seriously when it deals in the matter of schools. Our kids need to get out and socialize. They need to be in a school environment.
Right.
They need to learn from an actual institution. It sucks when they're stuck at home, because I understand veterans issues and the invisible wounds aspects. And this is starting to go down that realm where I'm having to not only talk about veterans having these kind of PTSD, traumatic experiences and all that. Now you're dealing with families, our everyday families, from depression to, suicide, to even domestic, violence issues, because they're stuck around each other all the time. We need to, as I said, we just need to reopen New Jersey. Now, the science aspect of it, well, I'll definitely, as I said, listen to the scientists and all that. But if it comes to having to sacrifice reopening New Jersey, they're going to have to come out with a different way of handling that virus.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us on this page agree with you, and I definitely think the cure was worse than the virus. We have hurt ourselves so much. I mean, this state was already difficult to live in. We've got kids that are in trouble, businesses that are in trouble, unemployment that's through the roof, and he's borrowing money. I mean, let's talk about the budget. I mean, where things are out of control. It's going to get to the point where you cannot live here. You cannot afford to live here. And I mean, at this point, how many more need to leave the state? I don't understand how he's patting himself on the back. That's sort of beyond me. Would you be willing to limit yourself as governor in terms of your emergency order powers? I mean, our governor is the most powerful in the country. Is that right?
No, so I'm all about, as I said, limited government. It's why I was a Republican in the first place, right? I don't believe in overreach. I don't believe in me making an executive order that affects the masses to where it's pretty much tyrannical, or it's tyranny. And to give myself a pat on the back on that would be horrible.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'm a very principled and value-based individual. And, as I said, I walk around my area that's pure Democrat, and they're hurting. So I don't know why he's patting himself on the back while he's a Democrat and his Democrats are hurting here. There's a lot of them about to face eviction. There's a lot of them that are fleeing and going to Florida, to Texas, to wherever they can. They're leaving. This is on top of 2019, if you remember. There was a 68.5% mass exodus in 2019 of businesses.
Right.
Now I can only imagine what's going to happen now. We are on a verge where we need real leadership in here. Not either. I don't care for the rhino aspect, and I don't care for this Democrat aspect. We need a physical style conservative to get in. We need somebody who cares about the economy and will fix it and make us competitive. I'm hugely competitive as a veteran. No other state will do better than me.
Oh, I love it.
When I was in the military, nobody does better. My squad, my platoon, anything. We will compete on a national stage.
Yeah, and we need to be competitive. We need to be able to attract people. So I'm gonna take you into something that literally we just announced, which Doug Steinhardt is dropping out. So I'm gonna ask you to kind of tell us where you feel right now, since you heard that news live with me. You were going to run independent. Give me, just off the top of your head, if you're willing to talk about it, how does that change the way you look at the GOP race? What's your instinct tell you need to do now?
Right now, if Doug Steinhardt's out of there, like, there's no question I would beat Jack in a race, because I'm an actual Republican who never ran from Trump, and I actually hold the values of a Republican. I'm not a politician. I try to tell people this. I'm a advocate and a veteran, a pissed off veteran, and nothing gets done more than a pissed off veteran. Because this is one of the things I said on Facebook, and it's absolutely true. When America is in trouble, they don't call on a politician to fix it. They usually call on the military veteran types, because we're going to get it done. That's what I've been known for 15 plus years. Is you put me in a position of leadership. It's not, sitting around and all that. I work 19, 20-hour days, but I do it to standard and not time. I don't believe in time. I believe in standard. And I hate to say it, but those people that get up there with me, if I do get in, we're going to be working to standard and not time, because we are doing it for the people here. Right. And I'm actually absolutely happy Doug Steinhardt stepped out. He's been a problem for me since 2019. I saw it coming to 2020 throughout this whole entire election. When he's talking about putting voter ID laws in, where were you as a chairman of the GOP when the people were crying about mail-in ballots? Right. Yeah, we need
to we've got an issue there, right? I mean, we can't allow this to stand as it is, because we'll do all this work and all this campaigning and all this trying to, capture hearts and minds, and then the whole thing gets stolen. And I know everyone's concerned about that. I just had a few comments here. Someone said, I'm concerned that if you run as a Republican, you will struggle against the rhino perception. How do you effectively remove yourself from the rhino, which, the rhino perception is like the death knell now. You don't want that. Nobody wants that. We're all feeling disenfranchised. We want to change the party. I know. And now someone else says, I think it'd be better as you ran as independent. So if you do run in the GOP, how are you going to distance yourself from the rhino?
I'm not changing. I'm going to run as an independent. And there's a reason why. Okay. Because I know everybody here has seen it. What Doug Steinhardt and Jack Citarelli are doing right now is that they're trying to get these endorsements from the rhino types that are. These committeemen are nothing more than another Jack and another Doug. I've sat down with these people. It's not about you guys as the people. It's about schmoozing amongst, each other, that, for money, for power, greed, and all that. That's not who I am. I don't care to do that. I care to be amongst the people. This is what I said, is when I get out and I do my campaigning, I don't want to meet with these committee people. They've had years upon years. A lot of these guys have like 20, 30 years in politics. And what do they have to show for it? We're still like 47th out of 50 in a lot of different categories in states, in our state, and everything else. They've had their time. What I'm trying to sit down with is the people that are out on the ground. You show me around, show me what needs to get fixed. I bring you into the solution. We get it done. Yeah. Right. That's how I work in leadership. I don't care to sit down with the leadership aspect, because that's not how you figure out what's going on in your communities. Yeah. Something in the military that I brought up quite a lot is, if I wanted to know what's going on inside my unit, the last thing I do is I sit down with the leadership of that unit. I go down to the nitty gritty, the private, the lower enlisted, and I say, hey, what's going on here? And I sit down with them. They will start telling me everything. Yeah. And then that's how stuff starts to get fixed, because a lot of the leadership will hide what goes on here, and they won't tell you the full picture. Yeah, I'm all about getting it done.
We need a bottom-up solution.
Yes.
That we all have a seat at the table, however that looks. Those of us that really want to save our state and really want to have the people represented. So as we bring this to a close, it's been an exciting night, a little announcements, a little bit of change here. Tell people how they can hear more about your plans. I'm assuming you have a website, whatever that looks like. How can people support you? Just direct them to where you want them to go.
Okay, so my website's in the midst of changing from the Senate to the governor aspect, but you guys can still hit me up on there. So once my email will change, but I'll still direct you to the info at Winkler for New Jersey State Senate.com. You can still email me there. You can go ahead and post my phone number. I don't care if you guys call me. I'm one of those that's actually very approachable. You guys can call me.
Yes.
So my phone number is 201-643-0400. I also have, as I said, I have a website. So you'll see it change from the Senate to the governor aspect. But if you guys literally reach out to me and you say, hey, I want you to come in my area and see this, I will come down in a heartbeat. That's just who I am. I'm not here to smooze, for donors, corporate types or whatever. I'm here to actually listen to people, get on a foot. We create the plan together. We get it back up to the state and we get it fixed. I'm not here to play around. I'm actually not even caring if I get in. I don't care for the whole re-election aspect. Like this is actually really going to throw GOP and DNC people all crazy because I don't care about that. This is not about money, power, and greed. This is about fixing the state so my children can retire. And I'm pretty sure everybody else wants to retire at some decent age. All right. And have a state we're proud of.
Yeah, we need to be proud of this state. We need to fix it. I see your number got posted here so people can take that. And then, you know, when you get the new site relaunched, you know, feel free to come back on the site and show us. Also, guys, don't forget, we posted the link to the Governor Murphy recall petition. Let's help David out. He did a lot of work on this. And listen, we appreciate what you do on behalf of all of us, just the everyday guy and everyday girl, or just trying to live a good life. We're tired of being lied to, and I think a lot of people's time is up, frankly. So you know, anything we can do to help you, let people know. And I just so appreciate your service. I appreciate your dedication. You know, it's not easy to want to run for office. This is not a fun thing. It's something that you choose to do and sacrifice your time. And I think everybody admires that. So David, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you for everything you're doing, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, David.
All right. Take care.